Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 24 of Rapid Fate Online, and this one, not surprisingly, is titled Chain Whip Sword versus Duel Wield. Whoa, you gasped. What was that? Kirito reappeared behind Butterfly and swiped his sword before turning slowly to observe the damage he had dealt to his opponent. Butterfly was still standing with his back to Kirito, and he let out a small chuckle. Almost got you, Butterfly said as he turned to face Kirito again. I would have been more surprised if I'd had gotten you on the first go. You have a good reaction time, Kirito commented as he prepared for another attack, sliding one leg back slightly so he could use it to launch. Butterfly held his sword back like Kirito had done on his first attack and waited for the black swordsman to move. Kirito smirked. I see you've decided on broadening your AoE, but will that be enough? Come and see, Butterfly replied lowly, his hood covering his face almost completely. What's AoE? You whispered to Asuna. It means area of effect, she replied. Butterfly must have done a targeted attack on the first time, and because Kirito dodged it, he's going for an attack that's a bit broader. An AoE attack is usually used to hit multiple targets within a specified area, but let's face it, with Kirito's speed he may as well be multiple targets, Asuna said with a soft chuckle. This Kirito must be amazing, you thought. He's quick, as far as I can tell, but I could guess that he'd have to have developed a lot of skill being stuck in an RPG game for 2 years. Suddenly Kirito shot forward again, and a lengthy duel ensued. Your eyes could only just keep up with their back and forth attacks, and you could see that Butterfly was only just keeping Kirito far enough away so as not to sustain any damage to his body. Butterfly seemed to be using his shield to block Kirito's attacks when his whip had been used and had left him wide open before he could retract it and strike again. And Kirito seemed to be changing his attack pattern regularly, so much so that you couldn't see any consistency in his movements, which would have made fighting him very difficult. Kirito jumped back and opened his menu briefly before holding his left hand back over his shoulder. As he did so, another sword materialized in a second sheath across his shoulder blades, and he drew it quickly. Hang on, wait, what? You said when you saw that he had a sword in each hand now. He has 2 swords. Why 2 swords? Doesn't he need a shield? Kirito's a dual wielder, Asuna commented. He's able to fight with both swords. Is that cheating? You asked. Asuna laughed. No, but it does make him a difficult opponent. I bet, you mused emphatically. Getting serious? Butterfly commented upon seeing Kirito summon his second sword. Sorry, but it's long past 3 seconds now, and I did say I was going to end this duel, Kirito quipped as he ducked slightly and readied both swords for an attack. He lunged forwards and disappeared. The only thing you saw was a heap of sparks, and then he reappeared on the other side of Butterfly. Both you and Asuna were still watching Kirito when you heard Butterfly groan. You looked quickly at him and saw his chain whip sword had been snapped in 2 places, but Butterfly himself was unharmed. I forfeit, Butterfly said, raising his hands. That was an awesome duel, Kirito said as he straightened and turned around to face Butterfly, swiping his swords one after the other before resheathing them. The only weak points are the links in your sword. You'll need to reinforce them with either ingot of crystallite or black diamond. I see, replied Butterfly. I can get those, but I'd need a good blacksmith to forge them for me. The blacksmith would have to be a level 12 blacksmith or above, Kirito mused. What does your, girlfriend do? Just a quick side note so that there's no confusion. When you level up when you get to level 10, you can change to whatever class you want to be. And then once you're in that class, you get a leveling up stats thing for that class. So you need to be a level 10 to get to, just say Yin wants to be merchant. And then as she gains experience as a merchant, she levels up from merchant level 1, merchant level 2. So if she's a merchant level 2, just in general experience, she will be experience level of 12. So Kirito saying that the blacksmith would have to be a level 12 or above. They would probably have far more experience, just general experience, but in his specific chosen field of expertise, as a blacksmith, it would need to be blacksmith, level 12 blacksmith. And back to the story we go. Oh, we're not official, but Yes, I really like her. She's a merchant at the moment, but she did seem interested in blacksmithery. Have you partied with her? Kirito asked as he walked over and picked up the broken bits of Butterfly's sword. Yes, I have, so I can level her up quickly, Butterfly replied. Good, Kirito said. For now, get the sword fixed at your usual place, but my suggestion still stands for the upgrade. I'll definitely do that once I get the materials and level her up, Butterfly replied. Thank you for your help and for that duel. That was an amazing experience. You're welcome. It's been a while since I duelled, Kirito said with a smile, extending his hand for a handshake. Come up to the house, he added as they shook hands. Although I highly doubt anyone else would have the skill to pinpoint the links in my chain and target them mid-fight, Butterfly smirked, I can see why you're indeed the legendary top fighter in any RPG. You're not bad yourself, Kirito replied. You handle that chain whip sword extremely well. It's a hard weapon to master. Thank you, Kirito, Butterfly said happily. You and Asuna quickly got up and ran to the house to make it look like that you hadn't just been watching one of the most amazing fights you'd ever witnessed, and Asuna put the kettle on to make some tea. How'd you do? You asked Butterfly as he entered the house. Well, I learned some things, that's for sure, he replied with a smile. I am grateful to have been able to cross swords with such a legendary player. Kirito walked over and kissed Asuna on the lips. I saw you watching, he said lowly in her ear as he pulled her body against his. You still like to watch me in action? I can never tire of it, she replied as she rubbed her nose playfully against his. You squealed internally. These two are so cute. I wonder if Tamaki and I would ever be like this. You glanced across at him and blushed when you found him looking lovingly back at you. The rest of the afternoon was spent relaxing in the little log cabin, chatting about RPGs and sharing adventure stories. You got to know that both Kirito and Asuna had been through many different RPG games, but they were finding RFO the nicest so far since it had deeper connections with their original platform, Sayo. And after having some tea and food, you all went next door to have a look at the house that was for sale. 500,000 mahi, you screeched when you saw the for sale sign. Butterfly didn't seem fazed at all and just happily looked around. Would it be weird to date in-game but not know a thing about each other in real life? What if we did end up marrying in here? I should probably do my best to find out if Butterfly really is Tamaki before anything else progresses between us, you thought. And there's the end of chapter 24. Stay tuned for chapter 25 coming tomorrow.